Welcome back to the Storm Before the Calm podcast. I am your host, Lori Grace Bailey. I'm excited again to bring another friend and storm chaser who chases not only the monsoon and the southwest and lightning and all that cool stuff, but he's also now hooked on supercells and the planes and all that stuff. But my friend Nicholas Boettcher, I hope I got that right, Nick. But welcome to the podcast.
It's Boettcher, like bet your bottom
Boettcher.
dollar.
Oh, there you go. I'm thinking
It's
Breaking
alright.
Bad, sorry, because that guy's name was Bedecker, I think, so
I think so,
Boettcher.
yeah.
You betcher. I like that.
Yep,
Nick.
you betcher.
Well, Nick, thanks for agreeing to being on this. We spoke with Donna recently, Donna Ruthruff, another local chaser. But to us local chasers, that's kind of expanding now, isn't it? Now our friends list is growing and our base is growing. The community is growing just because we don't just want to chase lightning and storms. We want to we want to just pursue that passion, right? And you and I have had some chats, man. Just so you all know, Nick and I, we've met in the desert sometimes. Hey, you're over here at the same spot in the middle of BFE.
Yep.
And then we end up having this chat. The storm's over, and we're just sharing some of the struggles and some of the things that we go through. And there's that common element that I'm finding. Us storm chasers and people who chase extreme weather, extreme sports, we all have a kind of a similar background. And it's kind of a crazy background. I think that pursues us. And I'd love to get into that. I'd love to shut up and let you maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got into storm chasing.
Sure, yeah, first, I just wanted to say thank you very much for inviting me on here, and letting me be a part of this huge opportunity, I think. I don't know if I've ever actually told you genuinely how much I look up to you and admire you as
Oh,
a
man.
person, as an artist. You're one of my goats. I put you up on the Mount Rushmore,
Oh,
that
gosh.
you are, and, so I'm really honored to be on here. Who
Thank
am
you.
I and how did I get started? In 2017, I was just looking back through some journals of mine and I was looking back to when I initially came up with my brand DiPiDiRi, which is dream it, plan it, do it, repeat it. And I think that applies to anything that you do in life, no matter what the dream is, whether that's storm chasing, photography, basketball, football, whatever it is. I think it applies to anything. So I started that brand name back in 2017, and I got my first camera Christmas 2017. My brother-in-law got me a camera. Super grateful for him. Forever grateful for him, honestly. I grew up drawing a lot when I was
Mhm.
younger, and I always had a thing for art, and I just loved art. But my
Yeah.
patience for perfectionism, my patience with perfectionism,
Yeah.
it just kind of art was just not gonna do it for me, but when I got a camera, I was like, "This is instant. I can figure out the editing stuff and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's gonna come together, and I'll have that image, one shot, done." And I started shooting in January of 2018. My wife and I had gone to New York City, and I shot all of the buildings, architecture, everything there, and then I came back that year and was like, "I'm definitely gonna shoot lightning."
Really?
Yeah, so
So you went
2018 was
from
the first.
landscapes and then how did you like, what made you decide, like, were you just always enamored with the desert and you thought, "I know I can capture this too?"
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm an outdoors guy. I loved hiking and taking pictures on my cell phone. Just once I got the camera, I knew
Exactly.
I could actually do something, and I could actually show off the beauty of the desert or wherever it was that I was gonna be traveling to. My camera goes with me everywhere I go. But the first lightning bolt I got, I think, was in 2017 on a cell phone, and it developed from there. I was like, "Well, if I can get on a cell phone, now I have a camera, I'm definitely gonna do that." And it's just grown from there. It's grown from there to where I now am comfortable saying that I feel like I'm a professional photographer.
I think so. Yeah.
But it's been a journey. It
Yeah.
wasn't just like a switch, you
Right,
know?
right. Looking back on those early photos, what do you think to yourself now? Like, I'm sure back then people were like, "Oh my gosh, Nick, these are amazing." And nowadays you look at those and you're going,
Yeah. I took a photo that, one of the coolest bolts I ever got was early on in 2018, and it was down by your house, down by Rio Rico.
"Yeah."
And, I remember looking back on it yesterday just as I was preparing to send you some files to share on the podcast. I
Uh-huh.
was like, "I should send this photo just to say this was, like, one of the first ones," but I was like, "I can't even edit this good anymore."
Right, right. You go
Yeah.
back and you try to re-edit it and save it, maybe add a little
Yep.
let AI even try to do something and you're like even AI is like, "Bro, just."
Yeah, it's not gonna work. And, like,
Right.
at the time, I was a newbie, I was, like,
Mhm.
a novice, I was just figuring
Of
out, like,
course.
how to do things. I think I shot JPEG at the time, you know, and so it was like, I could only edit this so much and, yeah.
Wow. So then how did you hear about, like, that there are others around? You weren't the only crazy one wanting to go out there and get real close to storms and feel the static from being too close or hearing the crackle of a lightning or of a the phone lines, or the transmission tower starting to crackle and you're like, "Oh crap, I am close."
Yeah,
How
right?
did you
So
find out about that and hear about more groups and other people in the area?
yeah, so in 2018, I went to, an REI free workshop Sean Parker was putting on,
Cool.
and it was for Milky Way,
Right.
and because I followed him for years at that time, he had mentioned, that he or not mentioned, but he has posted that he chased storms too, so I knew there
Mhm.
was other people out there that did it. Obviously, there are much larger chasers out there that, are on TV and things like that.
Mhm.
At the workshop, I realized like, hey, there's more people. There's a community to this. And then I was out chasing, and you were actually one of the first chasers I actually ran into. And you were
Wow.
like, hey, do you know about the Tucson Storm Chasers? Do you know about the Milky Way Chasers? I don't even think you remember that, but
I
you're the
don't
one that
remember.
introduced me to both of those groups. Yeah,
Cool.
and that's how I joined. And then once I joined it, it's a community that I just like immerse myself in, and I took it like upon myself to just like make a name for myself in there and become a part of the community. And then
Sure.
obviously Monsoon Con, I took my dad there, and that was a really cool experience because
Yeah.
my dad was like, I had been on the news, I think 3 times that summer. I was on the news for the Auroras, I was on the
Uh-huh.
news for Monsoon Con, a couple things, but it was really cool because my dad got to experience that I was a part of this community. Like
Right.
Nick is actually like a guy here.
Yeah.
He's a storm chaser. It was funny because like I think we all go through that like part of our journey where people are like, "You're a storm chaser," where they like just think it's weird when you say I'm a
Mhm.
storm chaser, but then like when you like start having some success, people are like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, my friend is like a storm chaser."
Right.
So,
Right.
like, it was really cool to go to Monsoon Con and like, introduce my dad to everybody, and
That's
he's
cool.
and he's a part of it now, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. That feeling, we all have to overcome it too. I talk to people all the time and I think I was one of the worst. I think I still like people are like, "Oh, you've had all these successes," and none of that means nothing if you don't find that success internally. And I know I want to get into that in a few minutes here. But even now, like, I look at my images and then I look at somebody else's, I'll look at Jim Tang's and I'm like, "I should just quit." Gosh. And
Jim could do that.
you know, it's what is the thief of comparison is the thief of joy, right? And man, that stuff will just destroy you. Here you are, you finally find something that you're passionate about, and then, you nobody else is saying it, but you kind of crap on yourself, right? And oh, I
For sure.
suck and I should, I have all this gear, I wasted all this time and money. I feel like that the most when I've set up 3 tripods and the gust front comes out, knocks over 2 of my cameras, and I run to the other 2 that have been knocked over, and then the 3rd one gets knocked over, and I've lost, a couple of thousand or a few $1,000s in gear, and I've just
Yeah,
made so many stupid mistakes, and I just feel like quitting, and, I look back on that and I'm like, I wish the me of today could go back and just say, "Hey, it's cool." Like, I wish I could be next to myself then and go, "It's okay. It's gonna be alright. Don't worry about it.
absolutely,
Keep pursuing your passion."
absolutely. I think Kobe Bryant says it, like, the best. He said, "It's not about the destination, it's about the journey."
Mm,
And it really is.
right.
All those mistakes, the simple mistakes of like, oh, I knocked over my gear, or I didn't get this in focus, or this composition is terrible. It's all a learning experience. And I think that you take that into each and every, shoot moving forward. I mean,
Right.
I had an epic photo that I entered in the first international contest for myself. And I didn't realize that like in the lower right hand corner, there was a little hair that was blowing. And because of that,
Shoot.
I didn't win, and, that was a learning experience. It was something
Wow.
that I'll never do that again, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think we all go through that. I think we all go through, imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
not feeling like you actually belong, comparing yourself to everybody out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for years people were referring to me as a professional before I finally was like, "Nah, yeah, I think I'm a professional. I'm doing things now that I know other people aren't doing."
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know? Yeah.
There is a specific set of skills, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're chasing some thug, who's abducted your daughter from Taken or whatever. It's a different
Yeah.
special set of skills, right? But, you know, Nick, I remember I think the first few times that we were out on the trails or whatever, out on not the trails, I've been hiking a lot lately, but out on the
Yeah.
chase, right? And we end up meeting up together repeatedly without even knowing. We just end up in the same spot, like, hey, cool to see you again. We've had these conversations, man. Like, I think you were the one of the first people that I was just like, man, this guy, his journeys is the parallels are unparalleled, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We've been on these journeys, and again, that's what brought me to having this kind of show. I want to talk to people that have had those it seems like there's that similar journey. We go through some serious crap to get to where we are, right? Like, without
Absolutely.
getting into necessarily the serious crap, what caused you to kind of push yourself to the extremes? Because you're getting after every time I talk to you, in addition to you wanting um, to just get better at and to continue to chase your passion, you're also bringing your journey with you. You're bringing your past with you. You're bringing your problems with you, and you're giving
Yeah.
that to the storm. I mean, in a sense, and we've had those conversations, and I just connected so deep with you. I was like, man, I've got to interview this guy.
Yeah.
That's why you're here. I wanted to kind of hear it from you. How has that come through? How has storm chasing brought you here? I know I'm throwing a lot of questions at the same time,
It's
but
okay.
what prompted that? What happened in your life necessarily? What are some of the things that the adversities, that you experienced without going too deep, but
Yeah.
what prompted you to say, I just want to suck the marrow out of life. I want to get the most out of life and chase my passion finally?
Yeah, it's that's a great question. I think that I've come far enough in my own mental health journey and stuff that I can narrow it down to pretty much uh one major factor was my undiagnosed ADHD.
Mm,
I lived with ADHD for, 37, 38 years basically without realizing, and I always felt like
yeah.
black sheep. I didn't fit in. I was different. I was meant for more. There were so many things. And finally, when I was diagnosed, it just was like light bulb. And it
Yeah.
wasn't just like light bulb. It was like a light bulb immediately, but there was like still there was still some growing that I had to go
Hmm.
through. I went through a depression because of the diagnosis and being like,
Sure.
well, how do I deal with this? But through, storm chasing is being my deepest passion, photography, obviously, therapy and like genuine focus on growth.
Right.
I've learned to navigate life just a lot easier now. And I think I've always been enamored with weather. My favorite movies were Doomsday, like End of the World,
Hmm.
you know, um, Twister obviously is like
It better be.
classic. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like it was always geared towards it. I was going
Hmm.
this way in life. And then I also got to a point in my life where it was like, I either am gonna dive into this full force, and I'm gonna be an example to my children, you know? I
Mm.
have 2 children. My daughter just turned 18, my son's 21, and I wanted to be an example to them and
Oh
inspire them
man,
to chase their
I love
dreams no
that.
matter what it was. It didn't matter if it was video games, it didn't matter
Mhm.
if it was, "I wanna be a singer, I wanna be a storm chaser," whatever it is, it's not too late. You can go out and pick up and
Mm.
start tomorrow and chase your dreams, you know? And that is what my brand's about, DiPiDiRi, is to inspire others to go out there and chase their dreams, whatever it may be. But no, I
Ah,
went through a lot of adversity for sure
wow.
growing up.
But before we go into that adversary, what can you say what that means again? The DiPiDiRi?
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
go through the acronym?
yeah. So DiPiDiRi is an acronym and it stands for dream it, plan it, do it, repeat it. And basically it's just a life motto, whatever the dream is, if you can dream it, you can plan it, you can do it, and you can repeat it
Mm.
over and over and over and over again. And if you do that, you will have a successful life no matter what. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think like that's I think it took me 40 years really to figure out what my purpose was, and that's my purpose. My purpose is to push that message that it does not matter. I think Colonel Sanders was like 65, 66 years old when he finally became KFC, and so it's never too late to do that, and, yeah, my kids are watching me chase my dreams, and, like, they're probably my biggest fans at this point. They're just like, "My dad is, like, he's super
Man.
cool," you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I've tried to take my kids out with me chasing and they're you want them to be, do get stoked for the things. It just doesn't work that way, man. They have their own life, their own goals, their ambitions. All you can do is, chase your own and hopefully inspire as much as you can. And hopefully
Absolutely.
they will. And man, it almost seems like you're like I know you can look back on those times when they were younger and you're like, man, it's never gonna get better. They're gonna hate me forever. And all you gotta do is just love them through it, and just don't get too hard on yourself if you're trying as a
Yeah.
parent. There is no what to do. There's a what to expect when you're expecting book, but there's not how to raise your kid from, 3 to 18. There is no book on that. Sorry.
No
If
book.
someone can
Yeah.
write that book and is successful 100% of the time, man, they're gonna be a gazillionaire.
It is very similar to storm chasing, you know?
Mm,
Like, some days are calm and peaceful, and other days are just a storm in the house, you know?
right.
I feel like you could relate storm chasing to a lot of things in life, and, raising kids is like that sometimes too, you know?
Yeah.
I have 2 wonderful kids. They're a pain in the butt, but they are amazing, and I'm lucky enough that I get them out to chase with me, like, at least 2 or 3 times a year.
Cool.
My son's picked up a camera, and he likes to go out and shoot with me too, so I'm very blessed.
Dude, I have to admit that sometimes I will open up radar scope and I'm looking around and I see some chasers and I see this janky ass storm off in the middle of nowhere and I'm like, "Man," and then that thing starts spitting bolts and then I'm like, "Man, there's no oh, holy crap, Nick is on that. What the? How did?" And I'm just like, "How did he end up on this storm? Like, it's all you."
Yeah,
And I'm just like, "How the hell did he see that one coming?" Because
you know?
storm chasers, the planes chasers, they get over here and they're like, "What the hell, man? This is not, triple point setups. This isn't, they're not looking at EMLs. They're not looking for any of that stuff. You show up and you're like, okay, where's the moisture? Where are the outflows? And it's really tough. It's really tough. You can chase the mountains, but it's really hard to see when these pulse storms pop up. And it seems like they're random at best. And for you to kind of eventually start to navigate, I think one of the biggest secrets to unlock with storm chasing is you just learn to feel it. The first few years, you're going to be like, you're going to get in front of this storm, it's going to die, and you look across the mountain range to the next mountain range, and there goes that storm where you just left, by the way. You just
Yeah,
left East Tucson and it's going off on West Tucson, or you get to
yeah,
West Tucson, then it's back over Vale.
yep.
That frustration. How do you sometimes, or what have you learned to find that little key, man? Because it's secret. It's under lock and key, and it doesn't tell you the answer, man.
I would probably be the first one to admit that I'm not the best when it comes to, like, the science behind everything. Like, I'm still
Same.
learning all that. That's something that I strive to educate myself on every year, constantly trying to evolve. I'm very much an instinctual chaser.
Mm,
My best friend is oftentimes with me. He's like, "What are we feeling today?"
yeah,
And I'm like, "Man, like, I'm feeling this area, or I'm feeling
I
that
love
area."
it.
And there's times that I win big, and there's times that I lose big.
Mhm,
But it doesn't stop me from still following my gut, because there have been
mhm.
so many times I've been so right, and it was like,
Absolutely.
I think it's really more it more come it for me at least, it just comes down to trusting my gut even when I'm wrong. I think
Right.
it's a lesson to be learned, like, "Hey, man, you thought this, but, like,
Mhm.
you shoulda gone this way, or you shoulda gone that way." And also, I think that there's some truth in knowing that not every storm or every single epic bolt is yours, and it's for you to share with the world,
So
you know?
true.
I wasn't on that storm, but Lori was on that storm. I
Yeah.
wasn't on that storm, but Donna was on that storm. I wasn't on that storm, but all
Mm.
my best friends were out there on those storms, and I can't win every single time. And I think that's just part of the journey, you know?
Yeah. Nick, you are someone too who is, you've gone through your own challenges and everything, but what I connect with you almost more than anything else is that you celebrate other people's victories. It's so freaking refreshing when somebody else wins and you go, "You know what, man? I'm just so happy that Liz was on that storm, or I'm so happy that Donna was on that storm, or so and so, or I missed it. And it's okay to be like, ah, I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed at myself that I missed it. It doesn't mean that you can't celebrate other people's victories. It's okay to feel
Absolutely.
frustration, but at the same time, for me, there's a joy in that. When someone shares with me, I'll get a text or something, Lori, look what I got. And I'm just like, man, hell yes. And
Yeah,
there's a renewed joy. And it gives me a little bit of life too, knowing that that's something I've done, or maybe something I've done to inspire people to just keep after it. When they finally hit pay dirt,
yeah,
I can find joy with them in their success. I think that's lacking in a
absolutely.
lot of communities.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I it's a great point. It's something that I think people know me for that, or think about me when they think about what you're discussing. I went to the official Tucson Storm Chasers annual award show this year. I know you were retired or celebrating your retirement and chasing, but my dad was there and my mom
Cool.
came and they told me, they were like, "I'm really proud of you." And I was like, "What are you proud of me for?" I didn't win. I won best sunset gold.
Mhm,
And but I didn't win like what I was hoping to win, photo of the year,
mhm.
and they were like, it's funny. It's funny because it basically was like, "You're a great loser," you know? You 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 celebrate for everybody. Like, I
Mhm,
always see you in there hyping people up and always pushing people and encouraging them, and you're just so uplifting, and I feel like there's just not enough of that in the world, you
mhm.
know? And I wanna be different, I wanna be the
Absolutely.
guy that can lose and still be like, "My best friend just won," and, like, that's my all my friends won, but I
Yeah.
was sitting there like, "Man, I wish I had won too," but
It's okay,
it's
it doesn't
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, because, like, what if that's that person's only win and
Mhm.
nobody celebrates that? I would never forgive myself if I wasn't like, "Hey, I wanna see you win too
Yeah.
every single day," you know?
I know people have seen, I share my successes, I share my goals, my journey pretty openly. I mean, it's hard
Yeah,
for me. It's hard for me, in my own journey. It's hard being this far out in social media. I think I'd be rather happy. In fact, I have been hiking so much. I've lost 40 pounds this past year. I'm on a
good
new
for you.
journey. I think I gained 10 pounds over the holidays. So I'm gonna have
Me
to.
too.
That was good food, but it's still challenging to just get out there and put yourself out there. But I know that other people will relate. I know that something I do or say, people are just going to connect with, because there's too many people who are suffering in silence. That
Absolutely.
really, really hurts when I hear of somebody else and I realize, like storm chasers, you hear throughout the air that there are far too many people who have unalived themselves. And we're like, man, that was the coolest dude. What on earth? And you hear that over and over, but then we all just jump right back into the mix and the drama and the BS that just means nothing in the end. And when you look back on it, it's almost like, man, what if I just celebrate, like you're saying? What if that little bit of, hey, man, you did great last year? Or, hey, I really saw your photos the other day. I don't know how you did it, man, but you scored big and you did great. How that little bit of just that sauce, that special sauce of compassion or celebration just went so far. And that's what I wanna see, and you do that, man. You do that through your own adversity, through your own struggles and stuff. I know this isn't in the question, but you talk about your faith a little bit. Can you share about and how that's integrated into all of this?
That's a journey too. I just recently got baptized, rebaptized. I was baptized when I was a kid, but I've gone through a lot of stuff, and I'm not a perfect human being. I've made a lot of
Of course.
mistakes,
Nobody is.
along the way. Yeah, absolutely. But my daughter just turned 18, and her and I got baptized together the day after her birthday. And again, wanting to be an example, I feel like um in fairness, my wife left a couple
Mm,
years ago, and we subsequently got divorced. One of the hardest things I've ever been through in
well,
my entire life, and I think that kind of led me back to God and realizing that I needed to make some changes in my life for the better. And not that I'm a bad guy; it's just that I just needed to make some changes for the better. And I think that like if we put a little bit of focus in being a little bit more Christ-like, or being a more godly man or a godly woman,
Mhm.
I think that we'll find that life is a lot better, you
Mm.
know? Unfortunately, there's a lot of stigma, with the church and everything. I just try to be a good person, you know? That
Mhm.
is ultimately what it comes down to. Supporting each other, loving one another is, it's one of the, like, staples to the
Pretty
Bible
much,
is
right? Yeah,
yeah, love everybody, you know? We're all going through something, whether we know about it or we don't know about it, you know?
right.
Like I said, ADHD, I'm going through 8,000,000 things at one time
Same,
simultaneously. Yeah,
right.
you know? And so I think that, ultimately it was for me, I needed to do that, get baptized again and renew my relationship with Christ, and just be a better person
Right on.
in general. And like I said, I think one of my favorite quotes also out there is "Be the change in the world you wanna see."
Mm,
And I think that's really, like, the world would be a much better place if we just loved each other and were
right,
kind and compassionate, that's what Jesus wanted us to do anyways, was to be compassionate and to love everybody,
right. And
you know?
it's not just about feel good either. It's about that reconnecting. It's about reaching out to people that are, that might be going, like you said, we're all going through a little something. I always say that, and that always grounds me is that, hey, be kind. Everyone's going through their own hell. I think that's
Absolutely.
important to I don't know. That's one of my goals with this podcast is that I just hope that someone listens and can relate to something that you or I or one of us has gone through and just realizes that they're not alone. You are very inclusive. You're very just community oriented because you've gone through quite a bit in your own life too, and you appreciate, when others say, "Hey, Nick, how are you doing, man?" And then you see other people, and you're that kind of guy where there'll be 10 of us, 10 cameras and 10 tripods, but you'll go up to you. I've noticed this, and it's still hard for me to people, right? And the older I
Yeah,
get, the less I want to people. But you will people, man. You'll go up, "Hey, how are you doing? Hey, Melissa, how are you doing? Hey, Mike, how are you doing? Hey, dude." And you kind of
yeah,
and I'm like, "Bro, I'm checking my intervals here. I whatever." And I'm friendly, but you go out of your way to just make sure that people like, "Hey, it's so good to see you." Just that little touch, man. And I'm not gonna lie, like every time you were willing to you got me to the next gas station because I was stupid enough to drive all the way out to whatever Vecol and without gas, and you're like, don't worry about it. I'll drive right behind you. You're willing to give me money for gas. That's the kind of
yeah.
person you are, and I'm just grateful to know you, man. So,
I'm super grateful to know you too, and I've shared with you a little bit more openly about some of my situations. You were
mm,
talking about, unfortunately, storm chasers unaliving themselves, and I've been there. And I think that's like one of the main reasons why I try to be the way that I am.
mm,
And because you just never know. Because when you're in that dark, 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 dark place, you can hide it and nobody knows what's going on. And if I'm the last person that you see that day and
mm,
me telling you, "Hey, I just want you to know that you're super awesome and you're super dope, and I think that you're an incredible human being." If that's what keeps you here till the next day, that's what matters to me, you
God
know?
bless. Yeah, for sure,
We've
man.
had yeah, we've had, very candid conversations in regards to that, and, like, I think that's, like, part of the reason why I make sure to let everybody know, like, "Yo,
Mm,
you're a badass, and you're doing, like,
yeah,
what is important. Keep going," you know?
right.
Every day is a tough journey, you know?
Yeah,
Mental
yes.
health is not a fake thing, I try to be very vulnerable in all my posts. Anytime I share things, you've seen it. You've told me, you're like, "More of this," and it's like that's, like, my priority is to be honest, be open, be vulnerable, share my journey, because
It's
somebody
hard.
else out there is relating to it, and I know somebody's gonna pick it up and be like, "Dang, man," like, "Oh," and I want people to feel comfortable that no matter what, they're like, "Nick has always been super cool, like, if I need to talk, I could talk to that dude,"
Right.
you know?
But that's risky, man, putting yourself out there, your vulnerabilities out there.
Yeah,
There's too many bad guys that they're gonna pounce on and, yeah, they're gonna take it and they're gonna, getting back to the scripture, "Don't throw your pearls before swine," or it is
yeah,
but you're throwing your pearls also, you're casting your pearls because you want others to,
yeah,
you wanna spread hope also. You're trying to spread
absolutely.
your light. So I love that. I don't wanna get too deep anymore. I know people are like, "Come on, man, tell us more about storm chasing," and I wanna
Yeah,
get back into that as well.
yeah,
Dude, you finally did it. You and a bunch of crazy people from Arizona jumped in was it a van? What is it called? The one of those,
Sprinter van?
Yeah, Sprinter
Yeah, it
vans,
was
and you
awesome.
you crammed in into, like, pancakes, and you drove across to the plains, and I finally met up with you. I think I met up with you guys briefly, and maybe I didn't see you out there, but you guys were on the same storms, the Nara Vista
Yeah.
storm and some other stuff, but you guys actually saw the Morton tornado, and
Yeah.
you guys were how was that experience being someone and for those who may have never been to the plains and are like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot chase tornadoes. What are you talking about?" Coming from your experience, you guys deciding, we're going to do it. We've never been to the plains, or, some of us have never been to the plains, but we're all going to get together, take our limited knowledge and put them all together and try to find the storm, chase the storm, and celebrate the storm. How did that come to be, man? You got to tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, so I originally had planned to go out there in 2020 and I was going to go by myself. And then it kind of came to a thing where my best friend started to chase with me on a regular basis. And so then it was like, all right, well, we're going to go out there. And I just happened to mention it to a couple of friends in the Tucson Storm Chasers group and they were like, let's plan this. And so 2025 we made it happen and we started planning like 6 to 8 months out or early on. And we went through the planning phases because, none of us have ever done it. We didn't know what to expect. I mean, like we all had in our head, like, this is exactly how it will go, but that's not exactly how it goes,
Right.
but we planned it together and, it was the most incredible experience of my life.
No
And
kidding.
it was very easy to come to the conclusion that on the way home, I'll never not do this again. I'm in the process of planning my next trip
Oh,
right now for 2026, so I'll be back out there again in 2026. I think things will be a little bit different. It was a learning experience for all of us to go in there, but, ultimately, I wanna run workshops. Like,
cool.
I wanna take people out and chase tornadoes and storms here in Arizona, so we're gonna do it a little bit differently this year.
Nice.
It was it was truly a life-changing experience, and it was absolutely incredible. There's obviously, like, people talk about the drama and stuff, but I feel like if you were to compare it to something, it would be like being on a reality TV show where you kinda go in, you kinda know some people, or you're just strangers, and then
Mhm.
you spend this close, compact time with people in this small van, essentially, while
Yeah.
you're trying not to die, you know, trying to get epic photos and
Right.
and trying to put yourself in the right position, and I think the drama is so, like, minuscule to everything that actually
Absolutely.
happened that, like, once the trip's over, it's like, the reunion episode comes, and
Yeah,
those are, like, my best friends. That
man.
literally, like, they could call me at any time, and I will drop whatever I'm doing to go help them out, you know?
Mm.
Donna, Beth, Kat, Christy's husband, Ricky, who is
Mhm.
incredible for driving the entire time. My best friend Carlos, obviously, it was the most incredible experience I've been involved in a group setting. And yeah, we were on the Morton tornado, and it was so funny because, and Donna touched on this in her episode, but it was funny because 'cause we're standing out there, and it's just this monster dirty wedge, and and she was like, "Where's the tornado at?" And I'm like, "This whole thing is the tornado." It was
Right,
like
right.
2.1 miles wide, and I was like, "This whole thing is a tornado." I don't even think honestly, I got a single good photo from that,
It's
but
just
the
dirt. I mean, if you're
experience.
close, it's,
Yeah,
unless you're right at the edge,
we were close.
Morton
It
was
was
pretty
just
awesome.
dirt.
I think I
Yeah,
I think I only had, like, 4 days on the plains, and I was able to find my own over by Texoma,
yeah,
Felt, Oklahoma. Yeah, in
and
that
you were on the
area.
Nar Vista
Yeah, the Nara
Nar
Vista, I
Vista
was I
storm?
I I was
Yep,
on the Nara Vista storm, that was amazing, the
yep,
mothership. I'm gonna
yeah,
share that photo here in just a few minutes. For the
yeah.
video podcast users, I always encourage people, by the way, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you really wanna come to the YouTube channel and check out the video podcasts because we talk about it, but you see not only our mugs, you also share some of the photos and that the cool stuff as well, and sometimes I have video clips as well, so I try to make the video podcast just a little more juicy, so I encourage people to do that. But what was the difference? What would you tell people who are maybe who have never been to the plains and they're afraid that they can't do it? Maybe they're just storm chasers in Arizona. Maybe they just chase the aurora. They wanna give it a shot. Man, it's dangerous. It can be really, really dangerous, or you can do it by just maybe setting back. There's different levels of danger in storm chasing on the plains. What would your advice be to people since you did it and you did it successfully and you survived? You
Yes.
survived each other and you survived the storm.
Yeah.
Well, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think that sometimes we can just overhype things and scare ourselves.
Yeah.
we can talk it up so much in our head and make it to be this insane thing. I think one of the biggest learning curves or learning experiences that we went through in the van was that you don't sometimes realize actually how close you need to be to a tornado to see a tornado. You can be far away and shoot at length if you'd like to, but I think there's also just different types of chasers.
Right.
My one takeaway from it would be do it. You have to do it. Like, if you are being called or feel like you're being called to go chase the planes, you need to do it. Chasing the planes and chasing in Arizona are two entirely different things.
Absolutely.
I feel like if you educate yourself enough on weather and patterns and how weather develops, that you can strategically attack the planes in a safe and smart way.
Sure.
So I say go out there and do it. You don't have to go and be super super close to a storm to see incredible things. Narvis is a perfect example. That supercell came right to us. The mothership just
Oh,
moved
yeah. That was
to us,
amazing.
We also in Leveland, Texas, we also had that other supercell that was like a mothership as well.
Yeah.
That was stunningly beautiful, and there wasn't a tornado with that. I
Oh, I
would
remember that
just
storm. Yeah.
yeah, it beautiful.
Lots of greenage. Greenage,
Yeah, we're gonna
man.
share it. I think I sent it
Is
to
it in
you.
there? Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I would just say that
Oh, yeah,
you need to give it a go. I think that the
man.
planes are a little bit more, predictable.
Right?
You can sit on a storm for hours and follow that. Where, in Arizona, it's a pop-up storm here, pop-up storm there. The weather has changed, where you expect storms to be at, they're not there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more unpredictable monsoon for sure.
So, as we move into as we get close to closing this interview, what are some of the takeaways, some of the lessons that you've learned, like, through this whole journey of from where you were 2018 to who Nick is in 2026, as far as your photography and maybe personal journey? How has this affected you, and what are some of the lessons that you've learned?
I think that storm chasing for me is it's kind of very much like life. There are going to be ups and downs. You're going to be days that you're successful, and there's going to be days that you think you absolutely suck. I think this year in 2025, I talked about quitting at one point in time again, and Michael Blinsky.
You told me that the year before too. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Don't do it, dude. What are you talking about?"
yeah, and then I got the epic Thor sunset
You
bolt.
did.
But Mike Obinsky said to me this year, "So it only took you 2 weeks of not getting a good bolt to think you suck again?" You know? So I
Right?
think it's something that we all go through, but I think that the biggest lesson to learn from it is to just keep pushing forward every single day. Like, just give it your best every single day. Show up. 99% of success is just showing up. And the more you show up, the more successful you'll be.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that you're chasing, whether it's auroras, whether it's lightning, whether it's supercells, tornadoes,
Right.
lava, whatever it is.
That's awesome. I don't need to follow that either because just show up for yourself. Just keep at it, man. Persistence is
Yeah,
key. I think we've
absolutely.
all discovered that too. And what is storm chasing? For those who have never done it, okay, so I can just go out and just take these pictures every single day. I can get these? Or, to
I
someone that's
mean,
new to storm chasing, can I get these pictures that we're about to see like every single day?
no, no, for sure you cannot.
Yeah.
I've tried. It doesn't work that way. There's seasons for a lot of things. So I shoot Milky Way, I shoot
Mm, I
weather,
like that.
obviously. So there's seasons for things. You're not, there are going to be downtimes for sure. And no, you're not going to just go out and get epic bolts every single time that you go out. Sometimes it's just the little, stick bolts.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to be happy with just a stick bolt.
So for every shot that you post, because you post a lot of bangers, for every shot that you post on your social media, how many others that are really good that you never share? Like, what's the ratio? 1 to 10, 1 to 20 maybe?
Probably, I would say it's probably it's funny, that just came up during Christmas because I had some help with, some of my catalog, recently from my brother-in-law, who's I'm super forever grateful for. He went through and he was like, "Dude, I think you have way more incredible stuff in here than you think you do." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, you post these things," and he's like, "They're insanely incredible." He's like, "But I'm going through these things. I've never even remotely seen any of this." And he's like, "You just need to share it more."
Yeah,
You know? So I would say the ratio is probably like, I don't know, for me, 1 to 20, but for some people, it might be 1 to 5. They might be like, "Dude, every shot that you get is incredible," you know?
yeah. I think that's important too because I share act especially during the off season, I'll go back and I'm like, "I can't believe I didn't edit this." Or I'll think, "Well, this is okay," but maybe other people will identify and then all of a sudden, a shot that I thought was just okay goes more viral than my best shot of the year. Or you'll put one that's really great. You're like, "Oh, man, I worked so hard. This is so delicious, this shot." You post it and it gets like 4 likes. You're like, "Really, man?" And then you post some crap with your iPhone, and it's
Yeah.
like a billion zillion views, and you're like, "Whatever,
I
man," you know?
I've dropped some bangers and I was hoping that they would do more numbers, but, I kinda also had to come to terms with that too, is that, like, I'm not doing this for numbers anymore. I'm doing this for me and,
Exactly.
like, in genuine community and engagement, and I'm not always gonna get genuine engagement from everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I wanna share so if you're listening to the audio, you might just wanna skip to the end, maybe 4 minutes into this. We're gonna just go through some of for you video watchers, we're gonna go through some of Nick's, photos here, and I'm gonna share this stream. Let's see if you can yeah, there we go. You can see the photos, Nick, there? The
Yeah, I
rainbow?
can see the photo.
Alright,
Yeah.
cool. Let me see. Why is it showing just, oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm a nugget. There we go.
No, you're good.
How about that? Look at that.
So I threw this image in here because I've been striving to get lightning and rainbow together. Let's not talk about the dust spots in this,
Nah,
but like I also put this in here to show that like not every composition is going to be incredible. You know, some comps are not the greatest comps, but the shot is the shot. I had that double rainbow over the Rincons, and I picked this one specifically because that lightning bolt, if you look, does hit the mountains. It doesn't go all the way down to the ground. So there is not a bright strike point in there, but there
right.
you can see it hit the mountains off in the distance.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's hard to get those shots, dude, when you get the daytime and then expecting lightning in there. How do you get that lightning and rainbow combo? Like, how do you set up for it?
I mean, I have a Myops trigger. I'm hoping to get the Bolt Hunter when it drops, but I got a Myops trigger that I use to get daytime bolts. Obviously, daytime bolts can be very difficult
Mhm.
to get like a beautiful daytime bolt shot, but I think that this storm was just special. You could just see the size of this storm. It's got a double rainbow coming off of it, and it's got
Right,
bright enough lightning coming down in midst of the two.
right.
You know?
I don't know why it's not sharing the window. It's showing the whole tab and everything. I'm trying to share the whole window of it, but let's try that
Oh
one more
yeah,
time.
yeah, no problem.
Riverside needs to get with the program. There we go. Now we can see the whole photo.
There we go.
Yeah, so and the desert scenes, my most frustrating part is that your horizons always you always have bushes and trees and sticks and oh, isn't that one of the most frustrating things about Arizona is that there's a lot of shrub, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It is unfortunately like it's just part of the game, and this is near Rita Ranch and I just had to pull over. This scene was too good to just not pull over and get a
Yeah,
shot of this. I saw lightning coming out. I got the double rainbow. I have to get the shot. So I'm just pulling over and posting up. You can see there's houses right there
yeah. Oh,
at the
yeah, right at the
bottom.
tip. And you still
Yep.
got it hitting the side of the mountain too. That's
Yep.
the Rincons, I believe.
Yep. It sure
Nice.
is. And so yeah, sometimes you got to pull over and just get the shot where the shot's at.
Right. And what
Yeah.
about this one? I've seen this one on social media kind of every once in a while. Every day,
Yeah,
actually.
just every once in a while. I think that is probably the most photogenic, most insane supercell of all of 2025, in my humble opinion, and probably
Same.
because I was on it. But man, that storm is Narvissa, going into Amistad, New Mexico.
Mhm.
It was just absolutely incredible. I didn't get a great lightning shot out of this storm,
Me neither.
but I mean, look at that.
I know, right? Who cares?
Yeah, right, like, just being on this storm was absolutely incredible.
Nick, could you feel the energy from this thing? Do you
Yeah,
remember? There's
yeah,
almost a symbiosis because I remember jetting out. We were all on that other storm that just turned to crap, and then I was
yeah,
looking at this storm way off to the west, and I was watching it, and it just grew and grew, and it looked beautiful on radar, and I flew west. I've never been on those roads before. Flew
yeah,
west. I was one of the first people way out in the distance. That thing was way off in the distance. But as it got closer and you could see the swirls at that top right of it, and it almost like
yeah,
a DQ swirl, just as it was curling and the vault was just pulling up and you could see the hail. Oh my gosh, I could feel the energy with this storm. It was amazing.
Absolutely. There are I feel like there are some storms that you can not just feel the energy, but, like, your soul connects with it.
I
I
agree.
don't and I don't know how else to explain that, but it's just a feeling that you have to be there in the moment and experience that, and I feel like probably anybody that was on this storm would say the same thing. Like, you can just feel this. It's so epic.
I remember going back to my hotel once I finally found a hotel in Amarillo that night, and I was just like, man, all the stress and problems I was feeling and all the crap that I was going through, and
Yeah,
I got like teary eyed. I was just like, wow, I got to be a part of this. Thank you. Like I just looked up and thank you and there was that release too, like you're talked about. I was just like, whoo! I was just like, man, that's
absolutely.
something special to be a part of something like that. And
And
I hope people.
this was the storm we capped our trip off on. We went
Oh
home the
man,
next day, and I was like, "Are
wow.
you kidding me?" There was
Yeah,
no
right?
tornado, but oh my gosh, this is incredible.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. Well, let's run through.
Yeah.
So what is this one? Gonna
This is
finish
the
up with
Levelland
these.
storm.
The Levelin,
Yeah. So this one, we
Dust
drove through
Muncher.
that storm, punched out on,
Wow.
and I don't remember exactly where we ended up punching out of it at, but we punched through the dust that you see there, that inflow and outflow.
A Dust Muncher in there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We punched through it. You can see under the cell, there's still some storm chasers coming out of that storm, and then they're gonna pull up
Yeah.
next to us and start shooting. So, yeah, we drove through that, and we got to the other side, and I was like, "We have to pull over right now.
Nice.
Right now, we have to shoot this." And
Heck
again,
yeah.
there wasn't a tornado with this, but
Mhm.
man, that storm was just gorgeous. I think those were probably 2 of the most photogenic storms of the season.
You know why this is special to me is because there you have this coolness, so these cool tones on the right, and then you have
Yes.
over here, it's warm. You have warmer tones on the
Yeah.
left, and
Yes.
there's a symmetry to it that warm and cool. I love
I
it.
love this shot.
Heck yeah. And what is this, man? Like, I know Donna got the same shot. Like, you guys suck. It's like the only
Ye
storm of the day, and tiny ass little storm out by west of Tucson, Marana area. And of course,
Yeah.
boop, 2 dots pop up. Boop, boop. Nick and Donna. And I was in Green Valley. I was like, oh well, whatever. Again,
Yeah,
like
so
at first I was a little pissed. That was a storm, stupid.
this is a signature piece of mine. This I was shooting the same rainbow that Donna was shooting, the Catalinas. She was in a different position than I was, but, I was out, near Oro Valley, and I saw this pop-up cell come up behind me, and I was like, "I gotta go there right now." And this is actually not the same bolt as Donna's. So Donna and I have, there's 2 bolts. So this bolt is the second one. Donna got the first one that has the double strike point, and I have that
Okay.
but it's out of frame, just on the top right corner of mine.
Yeah.
So this thing threw that first bolt, which Donna got, and that's what ended up winning the, contest, uh, for the grand prize winner
Nice.
for lightning. And, this is the one that had the hair down in the lower right-hand corner that Michael Binsky kindly pointed out to me and said,
I
"Hey,
don't
man,
see a hair in here, but that's
it's not there anymore. I edited it out."
you edited it out. I'm like, "Bro."
It is gone. My dad is the only one that has evidence of that, hair now because it's printed on his wall.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, Thor Sunset. I call this Thor Sunset, and, like I said, I think this is the bolt that probably put me, like, on the map. I think
I
people were
told you
like,
to
"Just
print
shoot."
that one. I was like, "Bro, I hope you're printing this." And you're like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure."
yeah,
Nice.
yeah, epic.
And what about this? We'll run for these last 2 real quick.
Yeah, last 2, this is the shot that I got Sunset Bolt of the Year award for the
Wow.
official Tucson Storm Chasers group. This is out off Mescal Road, and it was at sunset, obviously, just golden hour, just insane lighting
Yeah,
with lightning in it. This bolt on the left, hit twice, so I have this bolt in 2 frames. But, yeah, this is an incredible storm that me and my best friend were on, Carlos. We were standing under this storm just in awe of the colors.
this is what most Arizona chasers shoot for, right? We're all, yeah, daytime great, but we're all vying for that trying to set up for that right spot to be able to let that sunlight come up underneath the storm and just light it up, right? Light the
Yeah.
colors up at sunset. This
Yep.
is the epitome of storm chasing in the monsoon, that's for sure.
Right.
And finally, this is a tough shot to get lightning at the San Javier mission.
It is the toughest I think it's the toughest composition to get a bolt at.
It
I've been
is.
trying and trying and trying. I haven't had that, like, epicness, but I feel like this is, like, peak Tucson, Arizona, composition. Like, if you
Mhm.
haven't shot the mission, what are you even doing? You
Right.
know? I feel like everybody has to get a bolt there, and, I'll continue to shoot there and try and get an epic one, but I'm happy with that one.
Most definitely. Well, those are some amazing photos. Where can people find the rest of your work? What would be one of
So I
the quickest.
primarily post on Instagram, Facebook. I use Twitter occasionally, not as much, but yeah, DiPiDiRi photos. You can look that up. You can find it on my website, dipidriphotos.com. And like I said, all my handles are now DiPiDiRi photos. I had to uniform them when I
Yeah,
went viral for the Auroras. They were
nice,
like, "Yeah, we got to change this and fix this."
right?
So yeah,
Okay,
DiPiDiRi
and I
photos.
I will link that. I'll post that here, and it'll be linked in the podcasts, and, so you can take a look at Nick's work. You can also follow him. I encourage you to follow him, and as you start to follow all these cool, amazing chasers, you'll start to get, hints at or suggestions, I should say, of others to follow. Just before I wrap this up, Nick, this has been fun. I loved sharing or hearing your story, and man, I just love hanging out with you. You're one of the good guys that I feel like I can be real with. You were there for me, dude. I remember a couple of years ago, I didn't get any great shots during the monsoon because the monsoon can be a real pisser. And I was just like,
Yeah,
man, it's gonna be over, man. You're like, Lori, it's not over. You're just stay at it. Just you got this.
yeah.
And the very next day, this storm popped over Rio Rico, and I had to navigate, and it was flooding, and I had to get on top of the hill. And finally, the storm passed me, and I got out underneath the back of my Forerunner, and the sun popped out, and this giant rainbow popped out, and lightning was just raining down over the valley below. And I got these shots that they're really good shots. They're not my peak shots,
They
but
were dope. And you
they were
sent it to
dope.
me and I was like, I
I was
told
like,
you so.
"Bro, you told me to stay with it." And that was the best day of the year for me on in 2023, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So real quick before I let you go, I know you gotta go as well. So let's do a
Yeah.
quick lightning round. Are
Yeah.
you ready? It's gonna be
Yeah.
fast. What would you rather shoot? Would you rather shoot the mountains or the oceans?
I'm from the beach. I would say the mountains.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. What about tornadoes or structure? Storm
That's a tough
structure.
one for me. I really love structure, like a great structure. Man, I mean, I love tornadoes, but I think I would take structure if I had to choose.
It's tough, isn't it? What's your
Yeah.
favorite weather phenomenon? You've chased auroras and tornadoes and monsoon lightning.
I would say tornadoes are probably my favorite weather phenomena. I still sprites.
Mm.
I have yet to capture sprites, and that's something I'm aiming high for. Hopefully in 2026 I can make that happen finally.
2025 was not a sprite year for us down in Arizona. They were either too far south or we had just cloud cover, and we were underneath the MCS, so that kinda sucked
Yep.
too. What do you prefer, sunrise or sunset?
I'm a sunset guy. I gotta be out for the sunset bolts.
Nice. So what's your top item on your bucket list? Would it be sprites?
It would be one of them for sure. I My top item on my bucket list is probably the Aurora Borealis in Iceland.
Ooh,
That's probably, like, my number one thing. Yeah, for sure. The
nice.
sprites is a close second because I just have never been able to, capture that.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
Nick, what would you say? This is the final thing, but what would you tell someone who is just trying to get started in this? Maybe they don't have a lot of gear, they don't have a lot of friends, they don't have a lot of connections, and they're really bummed at just what they're going through in their own journey. What would you have to say to them? If I was a new person and I was like, man, I want to do this too.
I've run into people all the time while chasing that are new to it, that I can just tell that are new to it, and I always try to connect with them. "Hey, this is my Facebook, this is my Instagram. You can always reach out to me."
Mm,
I say get out there and chase no matter what. It doesn't matter if you're just on a cell phone. It doesn't matter if you have the rinkiest, dinkiest digital camera. I don't care what your equipment is.
yeah,
Just get out there and do it. The skill and the talent will develop the more and more you get out there. It's really about just putting yourself out there and trying. That's it.
yeah.
You can't be successful if you don't show up for yourself, And I've got multiple people to join me in storm chasing. My best friend, I can't get rid of him. He is with me on every chase now, and it took me 3 years to get him out. My sister chases now.
And, uh,
Her husband chases with her. I tell everybody that you should get out and experience these things that most people never experience ever.
Man. Well, we went over a couple of minutes. I apologize, but
No,
I'm
you're
so
good.
grateful to hear this and to have you. Thanks so much, Nick. I will be sharing all these links out. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Nick.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, that
Thank you.
wraps it up here on the Storm Before the Calm podcast. There goes my cat. And you can follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I've got a lot of people lined up, by the way. This is going to be a consistent podcast. And I just encourage everyone to like, subscribe, do all that, share it out. I've got lots of news, lots of stuff, good stuff coming for 2026. And be safe out there and shine your light while you have it. That's been my motto lately. So shine your light while you still have it. Everyone take care. Have a good one. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.